Hey, Facebook. It's Joanna Kleinman from Dethroning Your Inner Critic. I am coming on live. I wanted to share with you where my own inner critic mind has been this week. I am recognizing that I have had a pretty unmanaged inner critic this week, and it's been causing me a lot of struggle and a lot of suffering. And so I wanted to come on and kind of share with you where I've been, and to tell you how I'm managing my inner critic so that maybe you guys can start to take this on and manage yours. So, you know, I have certainly devoted my life to helping people manage their thinking, right? And Emily most certainly has too. So, I do this all day, almost all day, every day, with the people that I work with. And I love, love, love helping people to go into their automatic thinking and observe and examine their automatic thinking and redirect their automatic thinking. And I do it brilliantly. If I do say so myself, I do it brilliantly with the people that I work with. And sometimes I don't do such a good job of it myself. So it is our thinking, right? It is our thinking that determines how we feel. Always, 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 okay? And most of the time, what we don't realize is that our minds are never, rarely, on the here and now, right? Our minds are usually either in the past or in the future. And the reason why our minds go to the past is because we actually focus on those times in our lives that brought us pain or discomfort. And we focus on those times to try to prevent that pain and discomfort from occurring in the future. So when we're focused on the future, we have an attachment or a mental picture of how we want life to go. So my mental image about how I want my kids' lives to go, how I want my business to go, how I want my parents' health to go, which is dicey right now, okay? All of those things have caused my mind to be very attached to particular pictures, okay? And what happens is when my mind is focused on the future and on the attachments that I have to how my life should look, it drums up fear, right? Fear that life won't go in the direction that I want it to go. Now, some of you may have heard an acronym for fear, and I love it. I didn't make it up, but I love it, and I don't know where it comes from. Fear is false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Okay, so what happens is when we go into that future mode of being attached to our mental picture of how we want life to be, what happens is our mind, okay, literally triggers the part of our brain that goes into fight, flight, or freeze, because that's what happens when we get stuck in fear, okay? And when we're in that part of our brain that is in fight, flight, or freeze, we have no ability to think clearly. We are just an automatic reaction, okay? So the part that where we want to just flight, okay, is where we just stay busy, right? We just like distract ourselves from what we're afraid of. The part where we want to fight it, that's where we spend a lot of time thinking and analyzing and worrying and controlling that part of our life, okay? And the freeze part is, maybe we just like numb entirely to that part of our lives, right? But either way, we have no ability to use that part of our brain where we're actually thinking, how do we get that part of our life that we're so afraid won't turn out the way that we want it to? How can we find some peace? How can we find some contentment? How can we find some joy in that particular area of our life? So I was in a state this week of imagining the worst and not recognizing that I was imagining the worst. Okay. So I had this made up image of how my future was going to go. I didn't even know that I was there. So I was basically this whole week in fear, and I was in fight, flight, or freeze, and it was not comfortable. It was not pretty. Okay. And the way that we can separate ourselves from our fear, okay, is to actually turn towards it, to take a look at and allow ourselves to experience the discomfort of fear. Because if we're running away from it, or we're ignoring it, or we're trying to control the crap out of our lives, it's not going to work, okay? And this is how we never experience our goals and our dreams, because we're stuck in fear, okay? So when we're stuck in fight, flight, or freeze, how can we accomplish anything that we set out to accomplish for ourselves, right? We can't. So instead of just allowing your mind, okay, to automatically be assessing danger that isn't really there, okay? Remember, our minds jump to the future, create a worst case scenario, and then operate as though that worst case scenario is actually occurring, okay? So I am inviting all of you to take one area of your life where you are not accomplishing what you want to be accomplishing. One area of your life, Maria, thank you for saying so true. I love that you're watching. One area of your life where it doesn't look the way that you want it to look. And I invite you to actually allow yourself to turn towards the fear. So chances are what you are fearful of is what most people are fearful of: being judged, being ridiculed, being criticized, being ashamed, being embarrassed, failing, maybe even succeeding, because gosh, if we succeed, then we got to keep succeeding. And then what if we fail after we succeed, right? So that's usually where our fear comes from. And if we take the time to just look at what is the thought that's making me feel this way, then we can create a little bit of distance between ourselves and our automatic fear. Now we have the ability in here to actually use our thinking mind, not our fight, flight, freeze mind. Say that 10 times fast. Right? Now we have the ability to actually think, okay, this is my goal. This is my dream. What is an action, even if it's a small action, what is an action that I can take that's in line with what I want, with what I'm out to create, with what I'm out to accomplish? And most people don't take the time to even recognize that what's running them is their fear. They're too stuck in fight, flight, or freeze, and they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and then expecting life to go differently, and it keeps going the same way. So even though it's uncomfortable take the time to, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's not going to kill you, I promise. Just sit with the fear and write down the thoughts that you're having that are connected to the fear. Okay? And hey, if you're successful at that and you want to comment below, I'd love to hear from you about what you saw after you did the exercise. So thanks for watching. Have a great night. Bye.